What you're about to hear isn't just a tense exchange between Rep. Grace Meng and Attorney General Pam Bondi. It's a revealing moment about priorities, values, and the real human impact of political decisions. Meng doesn't enter this conversation looking for theatrics. She comes in with a real concern shared by thousands of families across the country.
Madam Attorney General, I wanted to ask about a topic that's of great importance to many Americans and especially my constituents, which is about hate crimes. I'm really troubled that your budget proposes to end the grant programs that may help prevent some of these hate crimes. As you may know, I was the author of one of these programs, the Community-Based Approaches to Advancing Justice program, which was created in fiscal year 2022. This program supported local groups working to increase hate crimes reporting, give community members resources in languages other than English, and to improve relationships between local law enforcement and the community. It was a direct response to the rise in hate crimes targeting Asian Americans during the COVID-19 pandemic. You may recall in March 2021, 6 women of Asian descent were tragically murdered in Atlanta, Georgia. My Hate Crimes Act passed through Congress in May of that year with bipartisan support, including from several of my colleagues on the other side of the dais. For years, I've been hearing from constituents about how scared they felt and have been hearing from members of these communities as well as experts who've told me that one of the best ways to combat hate in this country is to fund prevention programs. So not just prosecution, but also prevention. I have a letter here that hate crime survivors and family members wrote to you in May, expressing their strongest concerns about the termination of these grants. Signed by people like family members of Emmett Till, James Byrd Jr., Matthew Shepard, and survivors of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the hearing record this letter from these survivors and family members to Attorney General Bondi regarding the termination of hate crimes-related grant programs.
Without objection. Without objection.
Oh, yes, without objection.
Thank you, Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, I absolutely share your support for our law enforcement and for the prosecution of hate crimes in a just way, but we must combat all forms of hate on all fronts, bringing together law enforcement and community leaders and members of the public. And these grant programs have helped many communities do exactly this. So I just wanted to ask and hear from you why there is a proposal to eliminate the 3 largest sources of DOJ funding for hate crime prevention programs.
Yeah, and Ranking Member, can you list those 3 for me again? And I'm sorry, I have not received your letter yet, but I would welcome working with you on any issue regarding hate crimes in the Asian American community, in any community. I welcome working with you on that.
Okay, yeah, I would love to. And this letter was sent May 15th, and we'll make sure that you and your team have received it. So the programs, one of them, for example, is named the Community-Based Approaches to Advancing Justice. 3 programs have been cut, and one of these programs literally help support our law enforcement departments locally, like our NYPD, to train and respond to hate crimes.
Let me see. So we have 5,800 grants, Chairman, that come, Ranking Member, excuse me, that come through my office. 365 have been cut so far. That's approximately 6%. What I will tell you is we have turned back on 13 of those so far because people have reached out to me. If you want to reach out and talk to me directly, I will give you my cell phone. I would love to sit down with you and see if we can work that out. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with those 3 directly. But again, we will, if you have on either side of the aisle any grants that you believe should be back on, I would love to meet with you and work with you on that. We're doing that on a case-by-case basis, and law enforcement is my top priority, especially hate crimes, violence against women, everything I've done my entire career as a prosecutor. I think we have a former prosecutor in the room too, and I look forward to working with you on this and seeing what we can do to help you.
Great, we'd love to work together, and we will flag all the programs that have been impacted, including those that directly support our local law enforcement like NYPD. And just to be more specific, the 3 programs mentioned are Community-Based Approaches, Jabara Hire, No Hate, and Shepard Byrd, No Hate Shepard Byrd. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez.
The rise in hate crimes and the devastating decision by the Justice Department to eliminate the very programs designed to prevent them. Meng doesn't enter this conversation looking for theatrics. She reminds the room and the nation of the Atlanta spa shootings in 2021, where 6 Asian women were murdered. She talks about the fear her constituents still carry, the community groups that stepped in during the pandemic to help Asian Americans report hate incidents, and the critical role these DOJ programs played in rebuilding trust with law enforcement. These weren't abstract bureaucratic line items, they were lifelines. And then she delivers something rarely heard in congressional hearings, the voices of survivors. Families of Emmett Till, James Byrd Jr., Matthew Shepard, and victims of the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting all signed a letter urging Pam Bondi not to end these programs. These are families who have endured the worst form of hate this country can produce. When they say prevention matters, it means something. But instead of giving a clear explanation, Pam Bondi admits she doesn't know the programs Meng is talking about. She says she hasn't seen the letter. She says she's cut about 6% of DOJ grants and that some decisions were reversed after personal outreach. And then comes the line that instantly exposes the problem. If you want to reach out and talk to me directly, I will give you my cell phone. Think about what that means. We're talking about national hate crime prevention policy, programs designed to protect vulnerable communities during a surge in hate incidents, and the Attorney General's solution is essentially, call me personally and maybe we'll reinstate them one by one. That isn't how justice should work. That isn't how national safety priorities should be set. And that certainly isn't how communities facing hate should have to defend their right to protection. Meng's response is calm but firm. She lists the programs again: community-based approaches to advancing justice, the Jabara Hire program, and the Shepard Byrd program, each one named after victims of hate crimes whose deaths forced change, each one now on the chopping block. What this moment teaches us is that budgets reflect values. When Democrats created these programs, they were trying to prevent the next tragedy. When Republicans cut them, they weren't just trimming a spreadsheet. They were removing tools that save lives, that build trust, that ensure vulnerable communities feel seen and protected. And it's important for viewers to understand something deeper. Hate crimes don't rise and fall randomly. They rise when leaders normalize division, when extremist rhetoric goes unchecked, and when the federal government abandons programs meant to intervene before violence happens. Prevention is not optional, it's foundational. So as you watch this exchange, notice the contrast. On one side, a congresswoman grounded in data, community needs, and lived experience. On the other, an attorney general who can't explain the cuts, can't name the programs, and can only offer her personal phone number as a solution. This is why elections matter. This is why policy literacy matters. And this is why we must stay engaged. If you want more breakdowns like this, clear, fact-based, human-centered political analysis from a Democratic perspective, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who needs to understand what's at stake when hate crime prevention gets defunded.